Horses. Then later, plantation days, people came over, populated the island, had their own horses. Some of them might have escaped and mated with the island horses. Then they got their horse back. But then the island horse would have had the baby from the different stock. And then there were distinctly two different families at two different times brought quality horses over to Cumberland to let them go free. The idea being that they would mate with the island stock and increase the diversity of the genetic structure, make better horses. So that happened at least two different occasions. And then a third occasion, Lucy Ferguson, yeah, right next to you. Lucy Ferguson, who's kind of famous for Jekyll, for Cumberland Island stuff, she rounded up, or had people help her round up most of the male horses and had them fixed. And then she brought over a whole bunch of quality horses and let them go. Once again, the idea is to bring the quality of the creature up in the genetic chain. And that's why we still have wild horses on Jekyll. I mean on Jekyll, on Cumberland.
How many? What's how big a population?
They're around 200. Somebody said 220. Somewhere in that range. When Cumberland Island was taken over by the National... Anybody here... Let me stop. Anybody here work for the National Park Service? Okay, good. Either that or they're being quiet. What's he going to say? They took over in the early 70s, and the superintendent wanted to remove the horses from Cumberland. Said they're not natural, they shouldn't be here, they're tearing up the island. Well, everybody jumped all over him, you know, for being somebody who thought he was smart but knew nothing. Those horses have been there for 200-something years, and the island is not hurt in the least. Yeah, sure, they weren't there 1,000 years ago, but they've been there 200-something years. That kind of counts. He didn't care. I mean, the naturalists, the islanders that were still there, horse lovers, everybody was against it. And he was going to do it anyway. He didn't care. They were making their plans on how they were going to do it, where the horses would go. And then we had a congressman, Jack Kingston. There was some bill getting ready to go through Congress that everybody was going to sign it. Democrat, Republican, whatever it was, some innocuous thing. And it was going to pass. So at the last minute, he put a rider in there that said, no one can take horses off Cumberland Island. A period at the end of it. The thing passed, that became a law, because it was written into a law. And that took the hook right out of the Park Service guys, what he wanted to do. Well, interestingly, whatever that bill was, it was only to last for a year. So the year came, bill went out of existence. Park Service apparently realized they'd been whooped, and they get whooped again if they tried to do it again, so they backed off on it. The horses are there, they don't get any kind of veterinary care, they don't feed them or anything, they're wild horses. Got more dolphin in front of us. Might be a little late getting back. As long as we got dolphin here, we'll just ease our way through. To the right. Once again, because of these dolphins that we have their names that we see year in, year out, that's one way we can tell that some of our dolphins migrate out and some stay. 3, 4. Now, Kathy and I take pictures of their fins. We're getting ready to start a non-profit foundation called Definity, or D-Fin-I-D. I being D for dolphin, fin for fin, and then ID for identification. And what we're doing, there's an AI software that this lady has modified. It was a software that was developed for facial recognition for humans, and she's been able to take it and redo it for dolphin fins. So again, each dolphin fin is like a fingerprint. So this AI can identify the fin and tell you if there's another one in the database. I think they like us. Oh, did you see his eye come out? It's just barely, but that's all it needs. When the eye comes out of the water, it changes shape a little bit, the cornea, so they can see clearly. As soon as it hits water, it goes back so they can see underwater and deal with the refractivity of the water. Switch! They're playing the switch game on it. So they don't have to bring their eye out of the water to breathe. Look at that. So if they bring that eye out of the water, they're doing that on purpose. Or should I say, porpoise. But they have excellent eye vision. They can look up at you. They have rods and cones in their eyes just like we do. So they see colors and shadows like we do. There they are. Everybody leaves and they come up. Same spot. And we got one on our side?
Oh, crap.
Oh. You're breathing. So Kathy and I have arguments about them looking at us. I think they don't have the concept of what clothes are. This is your trip. If we get one, we're lucky. We're out here all the time. This one's for you. So I don't think they have the concept of clothes. So I think when they come up and look at these humans, they think, man, are those humans weird. They come in so many different varieties. They come in tans, they come in greens, they come in stripes, they come in madras, they even come in tie-dye. They're so smart, Kathy says no, they know what's going on.
I think they recognize our faces.
Yeah, especially the ones that see us every trip.
And that they are way smart enough to figure out clothing. Because we figured out birds and they're different. You know, young ibis are brown, old ibis are white. We figured that out. I think dolphins are smarter. Sure than us.
Yeah, did I tell you that their brain size is about 20% larger than ours by body weight? Got more folds and convolutions than we have. We just think that's a sign of intelligence, that we have more folds and convolutions than an ape. Therefore, we're smarter. Well, it turns out the dolphin got more of it than we do.
So I win that argument, don't I? Okay.
It was nice working with you. We really do have to leave. It is hard to do that when you got them just playing with us right here.
Y'all come back at 5:30. See you then.
We really do think, like when they do what they just did, and they're just come up and down like that, they're not feeding. Obviously, I think they're not socializing, but just acknowledging the fact that they're out here all by themselves, and then these tour boats come up and try to hang with them, and I think they must realize, you know, they're coming here, they must be looking, they're here for us. All right, we'll give you some looks. Otherwise, they'd be out spreading around trying to catch that 10% of body weight fish. So behind us and then between us and that boat. There those 3 or 4 are together. And we never got over there. But if y'all look at the point way over here, you can see a post sticking up there in the sand.
Yeah.
Everybody see the post? That is a shipwreck. That is a mast. It's still attached to a 65-foot shrimp boat that's sitting there under all that sand. That's called the Mary Ann. The 65-foot shrimp boat went down about 25, 26, 7 years ago in a storm. You've been shrimping out in the ocean. You can't shrimp anywhere inland in this body of water. You have to get out there. She came around the corner of the storm coming from land, dropped her anchor, thought she could outlast the storm. Well, it didn't. It dragged anchor, went ashore, stern first, broke up the stern of the boat. It wasn't going to go anywhere else. That was it. It was done. People asked, well, what happened to the people that were on it that got shipwrecked? Well, they got shipwrecked on an inhabited island. They hopped off and went to Finnegan's. All right through. We've got word from the family that actually happened. That's why they just lost their boat. Hey, let's go have a drink. Hey, let's have another. Apparently quite a few more after that. Coast Guard let them leave the boat sitting up on the beach. Had to take fuel, oil, and anything that was dangerous off of it. And just left it there sitting there on top of the sand. If you used to go from Andrews Beach here, at low tide you can walk all the way out there. Or go from the cyber complex on the other side and walk around. Get on top of it. Get on top of it and get their pictures taken. Matter of fact, Kathy has her picture taken standing on top of it. Kind of neat. But we have something here called sand accretion. It's a fancy word for moving sand, for shifting sand. What happens if you get a lot of erosion at the north end of the island, Driftwood Beach? That sand goes out offshore a little bit. We got a longshore turn going south. That sandstone is coming south. Also, you get some erosion on the regular beach. All that sand comes south and builds out the southern end. So that southern end is building. And as it's building out, it's also building up. So in those 25, 6 years or so, what's happened is that boat did not sink into that hard packed sand. Over that time period, the island has grown up over the top of the trip boat as it's moving south. The bigger the island is moving south, if you're losing front end of the island, getting shorter, shorter, getting longer, longer, the island's moving south. I always like to say that we figure your great grandchildren, probably a whole bunch more greats, will come visit Jekyll Island, Florida. And that's where it's headed. We hope we'll pick up Hilton Head. But to prove that point, the time traveler that time traveler that I am, I went into the future, came to Jekyll, and while I was there, I bought the Jekyll Island bumper sticker. And there it is. So that proves it, right? It's really funny. I've been doing that spiel about going to Florida for 8 years here. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kathy was in a store here on Jekyll and found that decal and bought it. Actually, she got a few and gave me one. And, well, I mean, that is for me. That is mine. That was amazing to me. I don't put stickers and stuff on my car. You'll find that on my back windshield right now. Hey, we had a fake man. That guy's confused. Lord, what a dumb guy that guy is. I love it. Jekyll Island, Florida. Turned out, Winterberg went, they had this, the owners of the store had 2 stores. Apparently they took whatever they had at one store, put them all at the other store, and then they gave them away to somebody, so we can't sell these things. She did. They were a fish or something. Anybody see an alligator on Jekyll? They're here. They're about 600, so the rangers tell us. Most of them, though, are golfers, so if you want to go see the alligators, go play around and golf. They like to hang out at the freshwater lake. But you do have working ponds on the island, on the ocean side. They've got this structure built up over the lake there, pond, covered, safe. And there's an alligator out there, maybe about a 10-footer, apparently named Baby, who just apparently had babies not too long ago. They're about maybe 2 feet long now. So if you go there, you might have a good chance of seeing the gator. They built a platform out in the middle where you can get out in the sun or so, or the babies can too. If you're looking down, it's pretty kind of not real clear water, but fairly clear. Yeah, you see fish there. You see several varieties of turtle, like the snapping turtle with that long neck. And it's about that big of what? Something smaller than soft shell. It's a pretty neat thing to do. You'll find it on any little Jekyll Island full maps. 2 birds up here. No, that's a cormorant and a brown pelican out there. The cormorant, is just being lazy. The cormorant, he has to get out of the water every now and then. They're deep diving birds going after fish, and they don't have oil glands or oil for their feathers. They'll get waterlogged after a while. If they don't quit fishing and get out, they'll actually drown. You see them all over the place. They're standing on stuff, trying to dry off. A lot of times they'll have their wings spread out into the wind to help dry them off. That's what that's all about. This sailboat up here, the story behind it. That's been a derelict sailboat for about 2 or 3 years, maybe even more. It used to be anchored in the vicinity of the other sailboat that is anchored up there. It was tied up to another boat, another sailboat, right before Hurricane Ian. The other sailboat was there trying to see where he could rip off the boat feet. Try getting stuff off this other sailboat too. It got caught. Well, anyway, these 2 boats were tied together. I guess the day before Ian hit, I guess winds were coming up, and it dragged anchor, and 2 boats were sitting up on top of Shark's Tooth Beach. About maybe 4 days later, the thief guy got his boat off somehow. And then the next day, people like Kathy were at the marina and watched this trip boat coming up to that boat and backing off, coming up and backing off. They weren't sure what it was they were doing. And then the next day, we had a morning dolphin trip, and that boat was over there, nosed up into the marsh on that side of the river. Next day, we came out on one of our trips, and he is now on that side. So they didn't drop an anchor. They got him off, but didn't drop an anchor or anything. Just let it drift. And so it's made it over here on apparently a pretty decent high tide, because none of these tides have been able to wash it back off and float it out again. I'm kind of surprised the marina here doesn't get an anchor and get that anchor and anchor it up in the marsh, so it doesn't come free one night and come barreling down on a windstorm right into the marina. There is no real owner, so if you actually want a sailboat, you can probably come get it. But if you got that for free plus $20,000, you still got the bad deal. Here they are looking for teeth. Waves there. You think they named it summer waves because it wasn't in the spring and the summer? Good, nobody really nodded. You're getting used to me. The wheel was built about 35, 36 years ago. And superintendent called Jekyll. That'd be called God. Has total control of what goes on here. He was getting ready to have a little baby girl. Apparently had the baby girl right before it opened. So the people responsible for building it and naming it had an opportunity. Guess what the name of the baby girl was? Summer. So they brown nosed and called it Summer Wave. Quite a bit actually of boat traffic for Jekyll. Nice Sunday day. Really getting going down here like yeah, we hibernate when it gets around. Thank God there's a sailboat getting blocked me. And to give you one last view perhaps of the manatee, you can see the pipe now sticking out of water. Well, actually, maybe he's getting ready to go dock, so I can still go over here. And then there's a vessel just kind of sitting there under the bridge. He's probably this side of the bridge. Looks like he might have a fender down on his starboard side. Outgoing tide, that would be correct. We see any manatee.
Oh, we'll take it in there.
See, that's actually a pretty big pipe there.
Yeah.
Oh, already done. Right at the pipe.
Oh, yeah? Those brown, rocky looking things, those are oysters, brown oysters. We call them cluster oysters. They cluster all together. It's not like the oyster, the nice oyster you get on the half shell. If you order oysters on the half shell, these you can't kind of do that. They're still good oysters. These we wouldn't harvest because they're out of the water for half of their day.